Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I had to take a deep breath, inhale and exhale, because I had to prepare myself for this conversation.
Right.
Because so many things you talked about in your book hit hard. So before we get into that, tell everyone what's your name and where you from.
My name is Shamika Booker, and I am originally from Brooklyn, Brownsville section of Brooklyn. But I am a New Jersey resident currently.
Okay, well, that's another thing we have in common. We're from Brownsville.
Yes, we are.
Now, it's crazy how I think about every time I interview someone, I always try to think about where we met, how we met, things like that. And it's crazy how we met as adults, but our paths crossed when we were younger because of our family
Yes.
and our family's faith. So
Yeah.
let's just get right into it and tell us what inspired you to write this book. Ocean, you see, I got it tagged up, right? Ocean,
Yeah.
Ocean forgot about me.
Right.
Tell us what inspired you to write this book.
Okay. So I went through, it was a 30-year journey, and I just felt like I was suffocating. Like I literally had to purge all the feelings out of me, because if I didn't, I did not know how I was going to make it another day. So I started writing it, and it was crazy because I started writing it originally. I was at work one day, and I just had jotted down 3 pages, and I zipped it off to my friend. This was before I started the process with the agency, but I was already going through so much and had gone through so much that I'm sitting at work and tears are streaming down my face. And I said, I just need to put this out. And so I sent it to my best friend, and she was like, you have to finish this. She was like, you have to finish this because other people need to hear this. And that's how, but I put it down and picked it up so many times over 2 years,
Okay.
So yeah.
The title. Tell me about this title. Where'd you get the title? What inspired that
Okay.
title?
Oshun forgot about me. Oshun is the Yoruba goddess of fertility. So I debated on calling it something else. And when I looked at that name, there was about 15 other books with the same name.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, no, no. And I put it out to focus groups, and I put it out to people I knew. And some people were like, oh, I was more concerned with Christians being taken aback by the name than I was about people of the Yoruba faith. And those were the people who actually came at me the hardest and were like, oh, you're going to anger her. Oh, you're going to. And I was like, if you read the book, it has nothing to do with her.
Right.
It really doesn't have anything to do with her. This is totally, it's about how I felt, and I felt really forgotten, but that is her specific,
Yeah.
focus. So, I didn't want to say anything else, because then people wouldn't really get it. And then
Right.
this title also inspired curiosity from a lot of people. It's an attention grabber. And then it allowed the person doing the cover art to actually get to there, so
It's funny because when I got the book, I posted it on my Facebook page, and my kids called me, Mom, because they know, about my faith.
Mhm.
I can't believe you. What are you doing? And I was like, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than and because I know you, I didn't
Right,
take I was fine with it.
right,
But people your mother and I share the same faith. They may like, because even my kids, none of my kids share my faith, but they respect it.
right,
And they were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I know the content of it.
right.
I know the
And that
content."
was the thing, because I didn't think, like, because of the title, and because my mother really doesn't read anything except for
Political.
publications from the World Bible and Tract Society, and she actually read it. So I was amazed with that, but
See,
she
that's
did.
what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I said. Your mother and I share the same faith, and we know
Hmm.
you, and we knew the place it was coming from. We knew it wasn't
Hmm.
a religious publication or something
Right,
to that effect.
right.
So I'm gonna get some stuff that I had to I picked out that I wanted to talk about
Mhm.
because I had to read this twice,
Okay.
But the poor child, when you said you felt alone in this journey, I felt that.
Yeah. It's not something that you can, if people haven't experienced the exact same thing, like I say in the book, unless somebody has experienced the exact same thing with the exact same set of emotions, with the exact same history, with the exact same outcomes, they cannot relate. Now, and I know a lot of people have had miscarriages, um, but then gone on to have other children
Hmm.
or had previous children. So it's not quite the same because you
Right.
still have a child to
Yeah,
hold on to,
that's so.
and it was really and I don't think people understood. Like there was a time when I was in a bunch of Facebook groups, and every year, and there's some people who I'm still friends with who were with me in those groups. And every year around Christmas, they were like, "What do you want for Christmas?" And every year, my answer was always the same: "I want a baby. I want a baby. I want a baby." For at least 10 years, it was just, "I want a baby." And that was just where I was with it.
So for everyone who's wondering, we're talking about fertility, and that's something that's rarely discussed in the Black
Mhm.
community.
Right.
So it was another part in here that I read that when that really hit me because after I have kids, I have a child I gave birth to, I have adopted kids, I have foster kids, I've had all of that, but I didn't have one with my husband.
Right.
When we tried, everything you said you went through, I was like, yes, I did that.
Mhm.
The poke, the
Mhm.
prodded, the histopathograms,
Yes.
MRIs, that
Oh my
everything.
goodness. Yes.
And then you start to look in the mirror like, well, I'm a woman. This is what I'm supposed to do. Like, what is going on here? So
Hmm.
I was like, yes. The artificial insemination, being in the waiting room and you the only one there. And it was like, oh my God, yes,
Hmm.
I went through this too.
Yeah.
And
It was bad enough already feeling like the fly in the buttermilk for burger. And then you're by yourself, and then it's like the assumption of most people, especially when you're my age, and I'm 47 now. The assumption of most people is that you were so focused on your career
Mhm.
that you chose not to have children. And I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm not a lawyer or a doctor or some big corporate CEO. So what career was I focused on that
Right.
that I chose not to? I'm not famous. I'm not prominent in anything. So what was I focused on?
Yeah.
And it's like before you make assumptions about people, because that's society makes snap decisions
Oh yeah.
based on seeing
Quick
someone.
judgment. Quick
Yeah.
judgment. All the time. All
Yes.
the time. No.
Mhm.
And that was me. Once I saw here when you said, when I entered my 40th year of life, I began to ponder motherhood. I still long for it deep in my spirit. And that was me. Once I
Mhm.
turned 40, I was like, okay, I'm not
Yeah.
doing this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And then grandbabies for me started coming.
Right.
That thing in me was still there. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, maybe I'll do it. But once I turned 41, I was like, forget it.
And because it's a different, your body's going through its own thing,
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, look here. Do I have the energy to be chasing around? Do
I
I
love
still,
this part
so you have
here
to assess that.
in the back when you toward the end when you said, "What I need from you is understanding," and you said people feel free to say whatever pops into their mind. And that
Mhm.
is so true. I was raised to be very outspoken. My mother raised us to just say what you want to say and don't care who don't like it. But as I went through this journey, I realized that's not good.
Right.
And once I got to my 50s, I'm like, that's not good. That's
Mhm.
You have to be considerate of other people because you don't know what they've been through.
Right.
And
Right.
it was another something. Oh, this one where you hear when somebody you said when you ran into someone, a school,
Yes.
and they asked, "Did you have how many children you had?" You had none, and he was like, "Well, what's wrong with you?" Well, why couldn't it be the man that had the problem? Why would you automatically assume something was wrong with me? And if it was something wrong with me, who are you that I should have to explain that to you?
And that was the thing because it was so I was on a 60 bus. So you know how packed the 60 bus is. And he says this loudly. And I'm like, so I said, well, are you married? Well, what's wrong with you? Why nobody wants to marry you?
Exactly.
What
Are you
happened?
rich? What's wrong with you?
Right, right. Let me flip this on you right quick. So that's there are times when it was funny with a previous interview I did with someone, and they was like, I'm reading this book and I kept waiting for the Brooklyn and you to come out. And I'm like, but you have to understand that there's sometimes when you're dealing with certain situations, you can't allow that part of you out.
Hmm.
And sometimes you're carrying around so much hurt that you try not to because hurt people.
Hmm.
And you're trying not to keep that cycle going.
Hmm. That
So
is
it's
so very true.
it's a lot.
So very, very true. And then I know it had to be really tough, like because I know you come from a big family. Your mom had like seven. It's on seven of you guys, right?
Yes, 7 of us.
And you're
Yes,
the youngest.
yes.
Yes.
And then right behind me, my oldest niece is 3 years younger than me, so she currently has 2 children and a grand.
Mm.
So it's already, you know, um, all of my nieces and nephews, except for one, my youngest niece, the only one that doesn't have a child yet.
Yeah. It's a
You
lot.
know,
It plays a lot on the psyche because you're going to these doctor's appointments. First of all, you're dealing with whatever your body is dealing with whether it
uh-huh.
be um, polycystic syndrome, whether it be fibroids, whether it could be a variety of things, and then sometimes it could be the man's case with the low sperm count or different things of that nature. It could be a variety of things. It's not always necessarily something that's going on with your body. It could be your mate's body, and so
It could just be a combination of you two together.
right, exactly. So, and then I hear from some people who have said, uh, "Well, being a mother doesn't mean everything." That's to you.
Right.
What's important to you is what's important to you. What's important to me what important to me.
Exactly.
So
And
that's
that's the
why.
thing.
Hmm.
People place their ideals
Hmm.
on others. People think they place their thought process on others.
Yeah.
And we have to stop doing that.
Ask
You
questions.
know,
I always
it
say that. Ask questions. If you want to know something, you ask a question. Just for another thing too. Whenever I have events, you're an event planner and do different things before COVID when we go get together. I
uh-huh.
always say to people, if I invite you to something and you can't make it, all you have to do is just say, I can't make it. You don't owe me an explanation, but speak. Or if you want to know what I'm doing, ask me. Just like when I
Don't
posted the picture of the cover of your book, my daughter called me. She couldn't just like, oh my God, my mother's a fake Christian, whatever. No, she called me. She was like, what you doing? What's going on? What is that about? You ask questions. And then there are
mhm.
times you have to also realize some things just ain't your business.
Right, right. And they're really not because it's we get so caught up, and I blame social media. I blame social media because social media has allowed, I've had people say to me, I feel so close to you because when you go live, I feel like I really know you and this and the other, but you don't.
Mhm.
You know what I allow you into my life to see,
Oh,
which is a microscopic part.
something else I wanted to talk about in here because I lived in New Jersey. And
Uh,
we went through it with the New Jersey foster care placement system.
mhm.
So I know you went through that journey about becoming a foster parent.
Which is a trial in itself.
Yes, you see, I was trying to get the taste in my mouth together because I want to be respectful to all parties involved.
Well, see, and that's why, and one thing that you'll notice about the entire book, with the exception of my acknowledgments, there are no names named.
Right.
I named not one single person. So I kept it respectful as I could.
I know. I listen. Let's
Um,
let's let's first start with the process to becoming a foster parent. Okay,
yes,
that
the process.
intrusive.
Yes, yes. The movie, and I always liken it, and I try to explain to people, and if they're not old enough, they don't understand this comparison. The movie Claudine,
Hmm.
when the welfare woman used to come and they literally opened my stove, opened my refrigerator, opened my cabinets, checked and made sure every light, every eye on the stove worked, temperature of the water,
Water.
went into my drawers, checked the closets,
Hmm.
you know, the windows, everything was under a microscope.
And wait, let's go to the questions that they asked. Now I'm married, so you could have the questions they were. They asked my husband, "Are you sexually satisfied with your wife?" And asked if I was sexually and he can understand like why they want to know about our sex life or what.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
See, I didn't have that issue. However, what they did, because I don't know if you had to do two interviews, because I had to do two interviews. I did the initial 12-page application,
Hmm.
and they came and they did a 2-hour interview. They came back with another 5 pages of questions
Yeah,
and another hour and a half.
yeah.
And there were things in my past that I don't discuss in the book, but
Mhm.
I've gone through, and they were like, "Well, did you get therapy for that?"
Mhm. The nerve.
No, but as you can see, I'm here standing.
Hmm.
Even in reference to my family background, they literally wanted to know where each one of my siblings were.
Yeah.
And when I, revealed, like, they wanted to know what happened to one of my brothers, and he was killed,
Hmm.
and they wanted to know why and wherefore, and this, that, and the other. And it was like, how is that relevant?
Yeah. My brother was killed too. So let me tell you something. We went
My
through
brother was killed in 1990. We're in 2000. What?
mine
And
too.
you're
My brother
asking
was
me about
killed
this?
in my brother was killed in 96. He was 16. He was killed in a hit and run accident.
Mhm.
My husband's brother died, but he was, was a medical condition. But we had to explain, or how were you punished as a child? How were you disciplined
Yes,
as a child?
yes.
Like we were like, what?
And then they give you that nucleus that you have to sit there, and the chart that you have to draw with your support system. And am I at school? Like, where am I sitting here drawing this? And they want to know how each person is going to play into your life, and
Mhm.
how's your religious background, and what do you have in the community? What community support do you have? And I was like, oh my goodness.
And then it makes me wonder because you're taking me through all of this. You're a very honest and loving person, from what the years I've known you. But then how do these horrible foster parents get through this process?
You know how? Because it becomes a network. If you take, and I said to them, I said, okay, so what I'm understanding from you, because it got very real with them, that last time. I said, so what I'm understanding from you is you want me to accept the child, whatever child you give to me. You don't want me to question anything.
Mm.
You want me to take the checks, do just enough for them. Don't let y'all know that I really want them. Okay. And when y'all ready to come get them, just give them up with no problem. Oh, okay. I see how this works now.
Yeah, they want you to take them in, love them as your own, treat them like they're your own, and then they snatch them away from you and then expect you not to be upset.
Right. But not even that. They don't really care if you love them like they're your own or not. Not even being funny. They really don't care.
They tell you that though. That's what I'm saying. They
Right,
tell
right. Yeah, yeah. That's the party line.
you.
But the first child literally, and I said to them, I said, you don't see that this is a money deal? I said, you're taking him from me. I said, this person already has 3 of his siblings. She didn't take the 2 that were in between. She adopted another child outside, but by taking this 4th one, that gives her a bump up. Right. I said, so because once it's a sibling party of 4, that's an extra $500
Mm-hmm.
on top of what they're already getting. And so now she has 5 children plus the extra bump, and I know one of them have medical issues.
Oh, and that's more.
Right. And
That,
she worked nights. And she gave the adult children that were related to him and the mother access to see them. But one of the adult children was in a gang. It was like, y'all don't see how crazy this is?
no, they don't.
They don't care.
They look at the numbers and the reunification numbers. We reunite this kid with.
We reunited X amount of families.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That's
it. That's all.
That's
Yeah.
it. That is it. And I really wanted to talk to you about the book, and because of the fact, like I said, I can feel 50% of your pain, and I say 50% because I have given birth.
Right.
But when I finally got married to a nice guy, good guy, we wanted kids of our own together, and I went through a lot of these emotions because that other kid's pretty much was on her own, but I went through that. I went through the testing, the poking, the prodding, the back, the forth. And it takes a lot out of you mentally. I went through the part you said in the book about considering getting a donor from a male friend. I considered that too. And I was just like, wow. And I have a childhood friend who's also from Brownsville who went through this, and she had about 11, 12 miscarriages. And we talked about that when I used to do the ladies luncheon. And one year we talked about fertility and stuff like that, and
Yes.
women, especially in the Black community, where it's not really.
I was at that one. Yes.
And she talked, about everything she went through, and then she finally did give birth. And I have like another friend who same thing. Every month when her menstrual started, she cried. She couldn't. She was like, I can't believe all the sex I'm having, and I'm still not pregnant. And it takes a lot. And I've had 4 friends who've gone through this process, but we've all said the same thing. Where's our support? Why am I suffering in silence? Because you can go online and you can find support for all this. And then our families are, what you want a baby for? Oh my God. The Black families, sometimes it's just, it behooves you some time with them. You want another baby? Why? Why you want to do that? So.
But it's not even just that, like, and what was being spoken about now is people are speaking to me in reference to starting a system to support women in this situation.
My question, as one of the questions I had here for you.
Right. Because it is something that needs to be done, because since I wrote the book, some people have actually went ahead and started looking for, and there's an organization that charges you to even get into their website. So you're going through the pain and agony that you're going through.
And they want you to pay?
Right. You want me to pay to even go on the website. And then they charge for doula training, like miscarriage doulas. That's now become a thing. But the price for the course is astronomical. Wow. Then there's, and I'm not saying that that's not a good thing. That is a great thing. And then there's another organization that I actually spoke with, and they've come up with workshops for people dealing with people who have had infant loss.
Wow.
And so, and they charge for that. You know, and it's like, okay, some things I understand it doesn't necessarily need to be given away for free because there are costs to operate.
Right.
But when someone is going through it, sometimes we got to just be there.
Yeah.
We need to offer, because I don't know if there's another interview that I'm going to send you the link to, where we got really deep into your body hasn't, when you have a miscarriage, your body doesn't just automatically go back.
Right.
You still have all the hormones that your body has to regulate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And even if you've gone through fertility treatments, it takes months. Even once you decide that you're no longer going to do it, it takes months for your body to regulate off of those hormones.
Oh yeah, the Clomid, the shots, the everything. Mm-hmm.
And it's so much that you go through. And there's a mental and there's a spiritual. Like I said, your faith is shaken. And if anybody says that their faith is not, they are lying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Crazy.
Because it's not, and you're not being unfaithful and you're not doubting God, but how can you not have questions?
Feel some kind of way. Mm-hmm.
And I
Definitely.
tell people, I said, you have to consider, if you have a relationship with God where that is your father, children question their parents all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're supposed to get your answers from God, how do you get answers if you don't ask questions?
That is so true.
So there's, I think especially Black people, we have such absolutes when it comes to religion. We're very absolute. You're supposed to do this, this, and that's it. There's no shades of gray. It
Right.
is this and this. And my thing is, but you teach us that the only perfect person was Christ. So if he was the only perfect person, then we have to have some, it's not that you're going out and you're purposely saying, okay, well, I know this is a shade of gray I can get away with. No, but
Right.
then, in your humanness, you're going to have feelings, you're going to have emotions, you're going to have things that you need to deal with. And you need to be able to, because like I think I pointed out in the book that I spoke to a pastor, and they were very, the religious cliches sometimes, it's like, okay, look here. It's I was cliched to death
I know.
in 3 decades. Okay. From family, from friends, from everybody, and it was just like, and the strong Black woman, we got to give
The
that up.
last thing I was just about to talk about, I was
We got
going
to give that
to
up.
talk about this, where it says, all too often we as Black women mask our feelings because the concept of a Black woman being anything but strong is insane. And then the part here that really got me is when you said, not angry time, emotional. I believe that is why we are thought of as angry, because we sweep all our vulnerabilities under the proverbial rug and put on our armor.
Mhm.
That is so true. Shamika, I want to thank you so much for talking to me.
You're welcome.
I'm going to share everyone to get this book and read it and talk to your girlfriends, because you never know which one of your friends or sisters
Exactly.
or whatever is going through this.
And that was the whole purpose of the book, to normalize this conversation.
Or even just
I
start it.
want to,
Just open up
right,
and talk about
right.
it.
I
Ask
want to
questions
bring
that
it
you
to the
don't know.
forefront. I want to bring it to the forefront. I want to bring it in families. Like, if somebody's not having a baby in the family, a lot of times they'll whisper about it.
Yeah.
Other relatives will whisper about it. but they're not actually talking to the person, hey, is everything okay? You want to talk about it? Like, it's so hush hush, you know.
So
So
very true. Well, thank you, Shamika. I really,
you're
really appreciate it. Like I said, I read this book twice. I knew this was gonna be tough for me because I related to a lot of stuff that's in this book. And I
welcome.
would definitely be reaching out to you to find out what else is going on with you and sharing it. And this definitely has inspired me to ask more questions.
Okay,
All
that's
right, I
all.
will definitely be in touch. You know, I love you dearly, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome.